You may have seen some really cheap cars advertised online that look like great value for money. Look in the description and you might see Cat N or Cat S. Are they the bargains they appear to be, or are they ticking time bombs? Let's have a look. Okay guys, so we're going to talk about insurance write-offs here and the ones that come back into the market, and lots of cars do. So there are different levels of insurance write-off. An insurance write-off is where the insurance company decides the car is either unsafe to go back onto the road, no matter what repairs are carried out, or the other side of that is they may say, well, it's fine, it could be repaired, but it's not economical for us to repair it. So if, for example, the car's worth £5,000 and the repairs would cost £6,000 or even maybe £4,500, the insurance company might write it off. What they would do at that stage on the vehicles that they do consider could be repaired is they put a salvage value on them, and you'll usually be offered that by the insurance company. So they might say, we're going to give you £4,000 for that car, or we'll give you £3,000 and you keep the car. You've got the £3,000 to repair it yourself, get it back into a roadworthy condition. Now there are different categories, okay? So category A is the worst kind of write-off you can get, so that's been in a really bad accident. With a category A car, the whole car has to be destroyed, so the whole thing goes to a crusher, goodbye, you can't buy it back. That's the end of that. With a category B, the shell and chassis have to be destroyed, so again, you can't get it back on the road, goodbye. With category C, category S, they used to be different. They used to be like C's and D's, and it's now category S. Category S means it's had structural damage, okay? Now category S can still be put back onto the road, but it's had structural damage, so it's had a fair old whack. So for that structural damage, think of things like chassis, suspension, so the meat and potato of the car. Category S cars have to be re-registered with the DVLA, so it's not as easy to get one back on the road, but I'm doing this video from the point of view of you buying it as a car that somebody's taken, repaired, and is now selling it on cheap, okay? So I won't go too much into what it takes to get it back to a road legal car. But a Cat S car, if you come to buy it, has been re-registered. Now a Cat N car is non-structural damage, so think of things like lights, bumpers, a bit of body work. So it's going to be less significant damage, but it could still be a lot of damage, all right? Category N cars don't have to be re-registered, and they don't actually have to have a new MOT, although some insurance companies won't insure them until they've had a new MOT. But from a legal standpoint, a Cat N car doesn't need a new MOT. It's just the insurance, if you can't get it insured without one, then you need a new MOT. It's a bit yeah but no, but yeah but no, but yeah. So if you're ever buying anything that's had a category S or a category N in the past, just think buyer beware, alright? Could be nothing wrong with the car now, it could have been repaired to a high standard, could be absolutely fine, but especially with category S, if that's had a big hit in the rear and it's needs to be straightened out again and stuff, nothing to say the car's as strong as it was on day one. Even if it's now in a roadworthy condition and everything else, it might not be quite as strong a car as it used to be, and you don't know if you're going to find other little issues as time goes on. So I'm going to sort of focus this more on category S, because that's the one category N, because that's the one I feel like more people are going to be interested in. That's the one I would consider, probably, if the price was right, where category S I probably wouldn't. Lots of people drive Cat S cars absolutely fine, no problem. So I'm not saying it's the right thing for you, I'm just saying for me, I'd be fairly comfortable in a category N, I wouldn't be so comfortable in an S, alright? So let's say you're looking at a category N or an S, the things to look out for. Okay, so firstly, you want to know the damage that that vehicle had originally. If there are photos of it, fantastic. Hopefully they'll also have the assessor's report that first assessed the vehicle from the insurance company that decided it was a write-off. So if you've got a copy of the assessor's report, they will have listed everything that they consider to be damaged. So that's really, really useful, because you could basically get that form over here and get a list of the work that's been done over here, put the two things together and kind of satisfy yourself that the job's been done. You also then want to know who did the repairs. So was it a reputable garage? Was it the person you're buying from? Is it, you know, a keen DIYer or something? You know, just a car enthusiast? And then what kind of parts did they use? Did they use second-hand original parts? Did they use pattern parts or copy parts? And what's the finish like on it? So, for example, if they've stuck a new bumper on, they might have sprayed it themselves. It might look okay, but you need to really, really inspect, because if you see orange peel on the paint, or you know, little tiny little bits starting to flake, or something doesn't look quite right, that could be a sign that you're going to have to get a paint job done on the car at some point in the future. And then the other thing to do is, obviously I'm going to say take a mechanic with you and get the thing properly looked over. You will have to pay for it, but hopefully not too much. I would always try and approach like a mobile mechanic. You see lots of them on Gumtree and Facebook, and just ask for, you know, pay them an hour's labour or something to come out and properly inspect a car on your behalf. They're not going to be held to it, they're not going to be liable for it if something is wrong with the car, but at least it gives you a bit of peace of mind that you're getting into a safe car, and a car that's possibly not too likely to give you issues further down the road. The other thing to look for in these cars is on your test drive. You want to make sure that everything is absolutely bang on. You know, when you brake, does it go in a straight line? Is the car tugging left or right? Are there any rattles? Even on the interior, if the thing's rattling more than it should be, that's a sign that something might not be straight, something might be slightly out of whack. You really, really need to use extreme caution when you buy one of these, and don't just be sort of blown away by the price and the spec and the mileage, because you'll often see these cars 25% cheaper than they should be, low mileage, lots of spec, and you've got this one over here at 15 grand and this one's 11, and you think, ooh. Don't get carried away by that. If the car's really cheap, there may be a reason for it. The other thing you need to do, you always need to disclose it to your insurance company, because some insurance companies don't want to insure Cat S or Cat N cars, because they see it as, well, it might be a weaker vehicle, you know, it might not be so safe on the road, we might get a third-party liability claim from it if something happens, or it might cause, there might be an injury to the passengers that's more severe if the repairs haven't been carried out correctly. For whatever reason, the insurance company might not want to touch it, so you always have to disclose it. If you don't disclose it and you have an accident, the insurance company could be within their rights to say, well, we don't consider ourselves to be on cover because you weren't straight with us when you took out the policy. So make sure you disclose it. Anyone selling a Cat S or a Cat N car should tell you. They're obliged to tell you that it's had a write-off in its past. But obviously we know that not everybody is as straight as they should be with these kind of things. So always get an Hpi test done. There are lots and lots of these available online. Some of them are literally just a text message with the car registration number, and it comes back with the Hpi details. It will tell you things like if it's been re-registered, if it's had a previous write-off, if it's got outstanding finance on it. So they're massively useful. The different companies out there charge different amounts, but you can get them from about £3, so it's just daft not to. The other thing is to make sure that the car has its service history and all its paperwork still. Sometimes if there's been a write-off, things like that can sort of disappear along the way. And you want to make sure that it's still got all that, because if it's been written off because someone threw battery acid over it and stripped all the paint, that's fine, you're really comfortable, it's been painted, it's got a really good paint job, but you still need to know the engine's been serviced. So all the normal rules of buying a used car still come into play. don't just look at, focus so much on the fact that it's been a previous write-off and you're just looking at what's been done to correct that. Don't lose focus of all the normal stuff, you still want to make sure it's been looked after and serviced in line with the manufacturer's spec. Okay, so we're just going to have a look here on Auto Trader, just to give you an example of the kind of money you can possibly save on a Cat S or a Cat N. So we're going to go into more options and we're going to look at, let's try and find something really specific. Let's go Audi A4. We'll go for a low mileage one, say under 25,000. I'm just making this up on the spot, by the way, as you can see, so don't beat me up too much. We'll say between 15 and 25 grand. Okay, so here you've got include Cat S, C, D and N. So S, category S, used to be called category C, and category N used to be called category D. All right. Used to be A, B, C, D, and for some reason they made it S and N. I think S for structural, N for non-structural. That's my guess. And then on, let's go lowest first. On Auto Trader, you will see on some of these, you can also do only show Cat S, C, D, N. Right, so let's look at that top one there. So that's a 2 litre TDI, that's a black edition. S-Tronic Quattro, virtual cockpit, blah, blah, blah. That's like proper top spec. All right, 16 grand, 2018 model. That's a good price. So on the face of it, that looks like a good car. Now let's have a read up. Cat S repaired, MOT carried out, 7th of April, passed with no advisories. Obviously you can look the MOTs up online, there's a government site, you put the registration number in, you can see the MOT and advisories on it. Smoke-free, pet-free, full service history. Okay, that's good. Recent MOT, but that's a Cat S, so that's had a proper knock. That's had structural damage, so it's probably had either a rear end or a front end, which are the two most usual. That looks like a very, very shiny bit of paint on the back. Obviously it's impossible to tell on this as a picture online, but to my eye, is that grey a good match? Probably is. It's probably the light in the picture, but there aren't too many pictures of it, are there? All right, so let's say I'm interested in buying this car. Okay, I'm going to ask to see the assessor's report when the car was written off. I'm going to ask them to see photos of the damage when it happened or before it was repaired, and then I want to see the invoices and every bit of documentation they've got around the repairs, and if they've had an inspection on the car since or anything like that, I want to see that as well. It's the only way you can really kind of put your mind at ease. But so look at that, 16,000 2018 model, 16,000 mile 2018 model. Now let's go back to the results and we will look at exclude Cat S, 2018 models. So that one there is a 1.4 petrol. We were looking at the 2 litre diesel, weren't we? But we're not going to get bang on, I'm sure. Let's just use that one. The diesel would be a little bit more expensive than this because they always are. So this one's done 22,300 miles, 2018, so same year, but it's got 6,000 more miles on. Still a low mileage car, isn't it? Privacy glass, part leather. Doesn't look like it's got quite the spec of the other one, but a nice car nonetheless. Let's have a look. Yeah, and it hasn't got virtual cockpit, so it's got the standard instruments and what have you. So without going through all of it in the full spec, this one's obviously a bit lower spec, It's got the base level petrol engine where the other one's got the 2 litre turbo diesel, and it's sort of £2.5 more. How good is that saving considering you're getting a Cat S car? Not amazing, I wouldn't say. Look for the others as well. Do go in and exclude and just see that you're getting a really good deal, because for me that's not enough money to save on a Cat S, especially. If it was a Cat N, I'd probably still want to save more than £2.5 on a car of that value, to be fair. But that's literally the first one. I've looked at it at the same time as you there, so there will be examples on there where one is 18 grand and the other one's like 13, 14 grand. And there's a bit more of a decision to be made there for those of you that are comfortable with that kind of car. So just want to give you a little bit of a feel of what's out there and how you go to either look for them or specifically avoid them if that's what you'd rather do. Just a short one today, but hopefully that answers a few questions for you. If you look on Auto Trader, you actually get the option to either include or exclude Cat S and Cat M vehicles. And on eBay you'll see lots and lots where they look really cheap, and you go into it and it will say at the end, oh, this one had a very minor Cat S or a very minor Cat N. They always say a very minor one, or it was a borderline one or something like that. If it's a Cat N, it can be a bit more borderline because it literally just comes down to the cost of repairs. But with a Cat S, like, it's had a proper whack, you know, so it's been bent somewhere. So think about that. Yes, it's been bent and they think it could be repaired, but it's still been bent. So do give that some thought, ladies and gents. Hope you like that one, guys. Very quick one today, as I said, but it's something that's been coming up a bit, so I just wanted to do a little explanation on that. As always, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. For those of you that are not so familiar with the channel, we do lots of car leasing videos, do a lease of the month, and also lots of content on buying used cars. So yeah, give us a try. Thanks.